So we'll get to that first. Now it's about holding serve for Florida State for a couple
Yeah.
of top tier kids. Who's on campus this weekend that Florida State is either trying to get to shut down their recruitments or just firm up that they're pledges to Florida State?
Yeah, I think two of the biggest, that are officially visiting at this weekend would be Tadarius Hughes and Daryl Bell. Both of those guys grew up FSU fans. They're both four-star prospects. Both can, I could see them playing the safety position in college when they get to FSU, assuming that's the place they, finalize and end up. But I think those two really are very important. With Tadarius, you got Miami, Syracuse that are certainly pushing hard. And then Daryl Bell, you have Alabama, certainly pushing to try to, to change his mind. I do feel comfortable about where they sit, but I think it's still one that you need to finish. Those are two that certainly jump out to me. Sean Johnson's another one. He's a three-star DB out of Maryland, but I feel pretty good about him. I think it's really just finishing it off, and I think if you do everything there, I think certainly you're in a good place. And then the final one is an unofficial visitor, which will be Amari Thomas, who's a running back. He's originally out of Mariana, transferred to Bluntstown, was here at the FSU 7-on-7 earlier this week. South Carolina's kind of been pushing really hard, so FSU's going to get him for back-to-back weekends. Or Matt Lasser broke that news, earlier last week or earlier this week, and so getting him unofficially on campus this week and then officially next week, I think those are big deals where you want to just finish the job and finish it off. I do feel Amari's close to just kind of shutting it down as far as FSU being the place, but I kind of think that's kind of where you're at. And then another guy that's kind of been on the the shaky ground is Darion Williams out of Plant in Tampa. That's one that he can play either DB or wide receiver. I think probably more likely the play receiver. That's one that's coming in this weekend. Florida been pushing, but I hear going into the visit that the confidence is still high as far as FSU that they will be able to secure them. And I agree with that confidence based on the intel I picked up. So still got to finish it off and show kind of a detailed plan, because that's one thing I haven't heard with Darion is what's your detailed plan of way you're going to utilize him and use him. So I think those are the kind of the main guys going in um, going into the weekend.
So now Florida State also is trying to land the services of several defensive backs. Like we've seen these different weeks, Michael, with trench players. The first weekend was pretty heavy there. Saw some really good linebackers on campus last week for Florida State, really good receivers on campus for Florida State last week. Now defensive backs. Got some really high-profile players for either Evan Cooper, Pat Surtain, or anybody on that defensive staff to go after. Who's on campus?
Yeah, you do. You have C.J. Bronow. He's committed to Nebraska, but FSU and Florida have been the ones that have been really active there. I've heard more buzz about Florida, going to this official visit. So they got some work to do to put themselves in good position. Now, the good news for FSU is there's a previous relationship with Evan Cooper. There's a previous relationship with Tony White. They go back, they know each other. So this is a chance for FSU to take a surge up and take control of the recruitments. That's certainly one. You also have Lasiah Jackson. He's out of Lee County. That name should sound familiar because that's where Usman Chromo plays. So this is a chance for FSU to kind of separate themselves too of what makes this place unique compared to the other places. I think from a position standpoint, we haven't heard as much where it's cornerback, safety. I think that's another one where I think you want to lay out the detailed plan. The one thing I can say at FSU with Lasai is they've done a really good job from a personal relationship standpoint. That's the way they've recruited him from the start. So I think kind of keeping that up is certainly an important thing to do. And then probably the biggest one is Chauncey Chucky Kennan, who was at the FSU 7-on-7 as well this week. Had FSU gloves, had FSU gear, wore FSU gear today early in arriving, which is not uncommon. Doesn't tell a sign or anything, but that's one that it's in a tight battle with FSU, Florida, and Georgia. Certainly can't count out the Canes as well, but I think FSU, Florida, the two teams that I've heard the most. Certainly has a connection with a guy that's already on the team, Charles Lester. Both of them from that Sarasota area, so I'm sure he'll have a lot to do with the hosting stuff. But I think really just showing what your program is. This is a little bit different compared to the other guys where I think with Chuck, you want to have him around the players. Have him around to get a feeling around the players. That's something he hasn't really experienced compared to maybe other guys that have gone through that. That I mentioned in cover.
One place that Florida State has definitely nailed on the trail the last couple of years is the tight end position. You look at Amari Williams, who's a two-way player. He reclassified. He's going to play defense as well, but no doubt that he is a dynamic playmaker on the offensive side. So is Landon Thomas. They love Chase Lofton from last year's recruiting class. Mike Norvell said on signing day this is the one they wanted the most in Chase Lofton. So now Florida State trying to make a dent in the 2026 class at tight end. A couple of candidates on campus this weekend as well.
Yeah, there's several. The one that I think that just jumps out to everyone is Xavier Tiller, formerly committed to Texas A&M, decommitted. A lot of people have him, strongly trending to Auburn. I feel that Auburn is trending. So FSU is going to have to knock it out of the park. There's no sugarcoating. There's no beating around the bush. They're going to have to make a big jump to really compete with Auburn there. And I think and then you also have Landon Murray, who's on campus. He visited early in the spring. He's a guy that's been strongly tied as well to Washington. But I think this is one where if I was picking out of the two, I think Murray would be the one that he's visited a few times in the spring, or at least once. He's one that is certainly doable, and he's one that I know the FSU staff likes. So um, because they missed out on Isaac Jensen, who is from the same school as Chase Lofton. He ended up committing to Missouri. I think you really have to reevaluate, because I really thought going into that process that would probably be the tight end that they were able to pull. So now it's kind of like, now you got to figure out who's going to be the guy. So this weekend certainly have a great opportunity to make a push for one of those guys. Certainly the most highest regarded one would be Xavier. You certainly want to get him, but we'll see how it shakes out this weekend.
One final thing before we sign off on this edition of the recruiting updates. Obviously, this week, Florida State landed what you said was a needle-moving commitment in Brandon Bennett, four-star wide receiver, top 250 player in On3's 2026 class. This is one that would get other recruits' attention, that would create some national buzz for Florida State, which is good, Michael, because it seemed like last weekend made an impact on the kids that were on campus. So how does Florida State go from here? Are there certain players that things are trending well for? How does Florida State continue getting that positive momentum that they have been so desperate to have?
I think really just staying true to what is working with each guy. I think each one's kind of different of what matters more. Certainly, staying true to, I think development has been certainly a big thing that has been you hear around the recruits, is like, what is this staff and this new staff going to do as far as development? So I think sticking with what you are, and two, just showing a uniqueness of the school that is compared to others that's different. And I think if you based a lot of your pursuit on relationships, then maybe just expand on something else that's new. And I think that's kind of what a lot of what they're doing. I think there's probably have between 15 to 17 like official visitors this weekend. So really, it's just staying true to what you've pitched throughout the time, and then they just expanding stuff that maybe they haven't seen as much. So I think that's really kind of the key to keep going, because can't sugarcoat it. I mean, 2-10's 2-10. Like the kids know what happened last year, but it's like what is your plan? To change that, and I think that's what they want to illustrate this weekend to these prospects. This is our plan. This is not the same staff. This is not the same team. This will be different, and this is why.
Florida State is going to be quite busy this weekend. They'll be busy next weekend as well for the final round of official visits in the month of June. If you want all of that information as it happens, intel from the ground outside of the Moore Athletic Center and all the construction that's going on near the football-only facility, well, there's one way to get it in real time. It's signing up for warchant.com. It's just $1 for your first week to sign up at warchant.com. And if you are a Florida State student, it's absolutely free. We want to welcome you to the Florida State community in style. You've got a lot of expenses that are coming up in your student career. Those loans, they're going to be around for a long time. So we don't want to put you under the 8 ball or behind the 8 ball. Join us for free at warchant.com. Instructions you can see on the screen right now. Michael, anything else you want to promote before we sign off, or is it back to work for you?
It's back to work for us. I want to point out, too, we talk about this 13th weekend, but then you have, it's kind of one of those transfer overlap weeks where the June 15th, we also had there's some big names coming in. That's when O'Neill's going to visit, the first quarterback official visit that they would have. So that's one that I'm definitely eagerly waiting to follow. So that's coming up. So we have some overlapping visits, on the 15th and 16th. That we'll do. Certainly, you'll have your full coverage. I'll do a recruiting wrap, later on Sunday, and then we'll get up all these guys. We also have the last individual camp will be on Sunday as well. FSU staff likes to keep us busy, obviously, with the physical visits and then the camp. So there's a lot going on. You have that. I wanted to point out too, I was extremely impressed what I saw from Michael Alford today about the new football only facilities and the different features they're going to have, particularly the one where they're walking down the hallways with the different things that people can see, formations and stuff. Man, this thing's going to be so cool, guys. A guy from Tallahassee, born and raised here, when you see something like that of how different and innovative some of the things they have coming up, I think that's a big deal, and that's a massive recruiting sell when you have something like that you can sell.
Well, it's something that Florida State will be able to show off for on-campus visits this season because the football-only facility is scheduled to be done by the 5th of September or thereabouts, which means that for the first bye week, September 13th, the Florida State football team is going to be moved into the football-only facility, Michael, which also means when they host kids for that all-important Miami game in October, they will be able to tour through the new facility. That will be something to watch for sure.
That's massive when you have that. And like I said, I've been around when and the stadium's supposed to be done, I think in July, late July, to have that stadium the way it looks now. I mean, when I was growing up, Tom, wooden seats in the end zone, 60,000. The amount of changes that have gone to Tallahassee and College Town and Florida State. It's an exciting time for Florida State. Yeah, I know it's a rough year of what they went through, but to have all these new added toys, it's going to be massive for recruiting, especially the football only facility where you can showcase a lot of different things and different ways of what's coming for the future. And I think that's a big deal to a lot of recruits. I can't count the amount of recruits that have talked to me about, man, I can't wait for that football only facility. I can't wait for, to kind of see that. Stadium stuff is kind of, yeah, that's cool too. But the football only facility, I think, is the one that really moves the needle for a lot of recruits who it will definitely give them a big boost.
Yeah, somewhere in Tallahassee right now, Jimbo Fisher is driving and saying, it's about time. It's about time.
Yeah.
We'll have more for you here on Warchant TV, especially if there's breaking news over the weekend. As Michael said, big quarterback on campus from Sunday into Monday. So keep tabs with us at warchant.com, Warchant TV. Hit the like button underneath the video. Subscribe to the channel. It's always free. Michael, appreciate the time as always.
You got it.